Good evening, everyone. We have finally got ourselves live. Had a few technical difficulties there, and a pesky little parents' evening to go to. So sorry, we're running a little bit late here. And welcome to the second broadcast here of the Performance Link Pit Stop. So we are going to look at the last race, which was Sebring, our very first night raced in the championship. But before that, we're just welcoming Dave. Welcome, Dave, to episode 2.
Yeah, thanks for having me. A great response to the third podcast. I think over the podcast we've had 200 views at least. The 2 rounds we've had over 200 views on each of them. Absolutely brilliant response to this brand new championship.
It certainly is. I mean, exactly that. It's brand new. It's the very first time we've ever held this league, and obviously the first time we've done these sort of pit stops. Sort of podcast halfway through the week just to go over a little bit more of the race on Sunday, get a driver in, and then have a look at the incidents to decide on the penalty levels. But they're also very good to educate drivers on what they should and shouldn't be doing. So it's good. And just like to say thank you to all our viewers on YouTube at the moment. Rockstar there saying hi, Dave and Andy. Hi, Rockstar. And hope you enjoy tonight's festivities. But obviously, talking back to the race on Sunday, Sebring, our very first night race, our very first Format B, which was the hour-long race. And a brand new starting grid sequence that we did, because we did an extra warm-up lap for Watkins Glen, if you've seen that. But for Sebring, we decided to do something different. The drivers weren't really feeling that. So what we did for Sebring is we've done the qualifying outside of the session, and then we based that qualifying session to the grid within their classes. So all the classes were joined together at the start of the grid, which made it a bit more interesting. It was actually quite good for, I'd say, 99% of that first lap, Dave. But I think Sunset Bend wreaked its revenge on quite a few drivers.
Yeah, and especially if your surname was Powell. I think we saw the 2 Powells having numerous incidents down there between them. So yeah, including a hardware failure for Dean, I think it was. So it certainly gave us some action. It was commonly the same kind of accident as well, every single time. So just losing the back end on the second turn in point of the corner, and it certainly provided some action. But the whole race did. We had almost a repeat of Watkins Glen with the 2 drivers at the front fighting it out, meeting in the middle of the race, and then it swinging the other way for the second half of the race. We had incidents where people had to take hugely avoiding action. I can think of Matthew Chambers for one. Very lucky to still be in the race after that one. And obviously,
we'll try and do that. We'll try and show that, because that was an excellent avoidance skill if we can find it.
And obviously, some incidents along the way, which we'll get into later on, and hopefully be able to clear up for everybody.
Yeah, I think one of the big things is, and everybody knows when you go around Sunset side by side, it's probably not going to turn out quite well, because that corner is really treacherous. And like you were saying on the stream, extremely bumpy is Sebring, and certainly going around that Sunset Bend. If you're too wide going in there, and, a lot of the incidents we probably are viewing, I think we do have some around there, we'll see the cars going in 2 by 2. So, it's not advisable, and obviously we'll see the cause and effect of going in 2 by 2 into that sunset. But apart from that, I mean, we had an epic race at the front, and we're lucky enough to have the driver that was very much in the mix of that joining us very shortly, and I'm sure we'll get his views on that. So Mr. Thomas Cope, and we had the 2 Evo SR guys, Elliot Halia and Matty Chambers. So those 2 guys in the same team trying to harass Thomas at the front, and that was an epic battle that pretty much went down to the last 10 minutes of the race. But then we had the Pro-Am battle, that was heating up quite well between Matthew Gerard, who eventually won the race. Sort of his teammate fell back a little bit, had a bit of an issue in second place, but did extremely well. So we had some great racing, and the rookies as well. They were all extremely close together. I think Stewart, I think it was Stewart that our AM winner really showed a class amongst himself in that race as well. He pretty much showed his dominance. Sebring must have been one for him to do, mate. But I mean, throughout the field, we had some really good battling, didn't we?
Yeah, there's some great battles. I mean, I'm thinking of the Pro-Am battle, actually, where we had 3 drivers right at the front of it throughout. And I think it was just a mistake late on, which whittled it down to 2. So I think I read in the Discord it was a spin with a couple of laps to go that just caught him out. So yeah, great battling throughout, side by side action, relatively clean. I know we've got penalties to go through, but we're talking a 50 car grid around Sebring. It kept clean. We kept relatively decent. The pit stops added a different element, even though most people pitted on the same lap, which was sort of a limit of the tanks. But we did add a little bit of strategy late on. And as you say, we will be speaking to Thomas Cope, who might be wanting the races to be half as long, considering the first couple of rounds we've had.
Probably good, but what we're going to have a look at, obviously, as we're just about to get Thomas in, and I want to embarrass the guy, obviously, and he's very kindly decided to take some of the pictures for each one of the rounds that we've got here in this championship. And I just wanted to just have a quick look over some of these pictures. I mean, they are absolutely amazing. I mean, who doesn't love the Macca with flames coming out the back end of the car? I absolutely love that picture, and there's so many really good ones, especially ones with the big grids. I certainly like that. And I mean, look at that. I mean, you can't get more than that coming down into the first turn into Sebring. Yeah. Literally 4 or 5 wide coming down there. I think that was the pro start as well.
Yeah, exactly. And Sebring allows that to happen, and then you have to sort of get back in line a bit further around the corner before the runway runs out. So the drivers did really well to sort of keep that opening lap clean until they got to sunset, and then it was only a couple of drivers spinning out that sort of held up a couple of other people, but it was nothing drastic. So a great job by all the drivers to get started in both races. To be honest, Watlings Glen and Sebring, we've seen very, very clean starts. We've only really seen one big accident, which was race 1 in Watlings Glen, at the point we always expected it, to be honest.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I'm sure Tom will be able to tell us a little bit about, obviously, what he does. Very much,
I think there's
you
one
can see the
facing the wrong
quality.
way there.
There certainly is. There certainly is. And I think that was a performance link car, actually, coming down into turn number 3, this is, which is a very treacherous corner. But it's, I mean, the quality of the pictures are second to none. And obviously, a big thanks to myself and from Tom for him to offer his services to us to help out and give the drivers, some memories. I think memories are the biggest thing that you take away from the league. And, just looking back at some of these pictures, it's always good to watch and see. But I suppose without further ado, Dave, and I'll let you sort of introduce and have the first chat with our driver of this stream. It's Mr. Thomas Cope. So let me just sort this picture out. Oh, don't want that one, do we? Oh, there we go. We'll have Thomas front and center. We'll have Thomas front and center. There you go, mate.
Well, Thomas, thanks for joining us here tonight. First time on a podcast. First of all, did you enjoy last week's podcast?
I did. I really watched through just to get the gist of what the podcast was and what you're doing here and what you're trying to raise awareness to everyone else on the stream, watching by, basically.
And we've obviously had, we've been so used to you running at front in other championships. Like I've mentioned in the opening round, we actually saw you win a championship with a broken foot, or was it ankle, foot?
A broken ankle, yeah.
Yeah. For those people who don't know, do you want to just quickly run through how you achieved a broken foot and how it was to try? You actually went on better form afterwards.
Yeah, essentially, I play semi-pro hockey, and to an extent, I was just blocking a hockey shot, as you do in a normal hockey game, and post game, I ended up getting an X-ray and I'd broken my foot. I was like, I'm not missing out on the Apex series. I've really enjoyed the series so far. I think I put more practice into preparing for the Apex series races from there on out, just to make sure I had the fitness and the ability to race hour-long races. And clearly it worked out for the better.
Yeah, it sticks in my mind that we're just going, oh, and Thomas Cope wins, and he's still got this broken foot. You know, it was a disappointment to everybody else in the field, shall we say? But the first two races have gone quite similar to you, especially race one at Watlings Glen and Sebring. How have you found the championship, and how have you found the competition? Because obviously, you know, you've done quite well in the first half of the first two races. And then the second half hasn't quite gone to plan. So how are you feeling about it all?
Yeah, it's completely different vibe. Having a fixed setup, everyone's on a very even playing field. Very different to the Apex GT3 Championship we were in not so long ago, where it was open set. You know, you tune the setup how you like it. The quality of drivers here in Performance Link this season, for season one, definitely is really good. I mean, yes, the race on Sunday at Sebring really showed some of the guys, Matty and Elliot, had some really good pace, especially in the later stages of the race. Watkins Glen, I had a few incidents myself, causing my own demise throughout the race. And obviously, race two, we had a few incidents from there on out. But I'm looking forward to the rest of this championship. There's some really good quality in drivers.
Just talking about the championship then, Thomas, obviously just explain to the drivers how you actually got into iRacing. How long have you been in iRacing, and where do you predominantly see yourself driving, and where your sort of area of expertise, if it's single-seaters or if it's tin tops?
Yeah, so I got into iRacing about 3 or 4 months before COVID. It wasn't due to COVID or anything. It was just I wanted to get a racing rig. I enjoyed sim racing. I just got a Logitech G29 on my PS4. So I got into iRacing on PC after a few upgrades. And from there on out, it just manifested. And I really enjoyed racing and getting in good competitive level like we are at the moment. It started out as a little series called Racing Edge, which I got invited to by a pro driver called Daniel Morad, who I'm sure most of you heard of him, called Moradness on Twitch.
Yeah.
He invited me along to Racing Edge. I enjoyed the series, doing TCRs, racing against pro drivers such as Daniel Cadello. We had Nicholas Latifi in one race, obviously Morad himself, and a lot of other good characters. And at that time, everyone was high I-rated, 7K I-rating. And it just really found my love for league racing at that time. Went on to doing other series like Precision Racing League. I'm now doing the Majors series, which is completely all disciplines of racing. So you do ovals, road, dirt oval, and obviously a bit of road racing as well. I know winning the Daytona 500 race with that series. Really enjoying it. To get onto more recent leagues, such as Performance Link, which has just started, which is really good. I got invited to do Porsche Cup GB series, which was a big series run by Porsche. We had the likes of Kevin Ellis Jr., Peter Berryman, all pro licensed drivers within iRacing. Will Tregurtha, who's a GT3 British Championship driver, and some really other big names across that series, such as Kevin Ellis Jr. I've said him. A few Red Bull drivers as well. Can't remember their names, but they were in there as well.
A lot of big names then.
Yeah.
Obviously, it wasn't like that at the start, and obviously, you know, you being pretty much one of the higher pros out there, or getting up to them sort of levels. What advice would you give to sort of a newcomer coming into iRacing? How can somebody get better at driving to be able to get up to the top echelons, I suppose?
I'd just say practice makes perfect. In the long term, it doesn't make perfect, but it makes improvements. Those little tenths you're going to find are going to make you heaps of time in the long run. And just don't be afraid to try something different. If you feel comfortable turning a corner completely different to someone else, perfect your line, do better, and eventually you'll prevail. And over the long run of a race, you could be better than someone else.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously, in this series, you've kindly donated your skills as a photographer. We just saw some of the excellent pictures you do. I mean, is that very much a hobby for yourself?
Yeah, it definitely is. I've always loved photography. I mean, I've in my little bag here at the back, I've got my actual camera for real life photography. I go to like BSB. I've been to Le Mans 24 hours as well, taking actual photos. I really much love just photography in general, and then I learned how to do the photography in iRacing, and then it's just manifested. And I love taking photos now throughout all different sort of areas, even iRacing to real life.
I suppose it's all about getting that picture perfect, isn't it? And as we saw some of them pictures before, they take some skill. I certainly love the blurring effect that you do on some of the cars in the background. I think there was one I remember from Watkins Glen that we will show the viewers later, of the grid coming down the back straight just before the boot or the inner loop, and you literally just saw a string of cars going all down with blaring off in the background. I mean, it was absolutely amazing. So thank you very much for doing that. And if people do want to get hold of you, because I know you have got an Instagram and obviously a Discord that people can get in touch with you to offer your services to them, I suppose. Do you want to give the viewers your details of how to get hold of you?
Yeah, so you can. Everyone's got me in Discord through the Discord series. If not, join the Performance Link Discord down in the comments, or I'm not sure where they post it. You can always get a hold of me in Discord, either on Instagram as well, TC_simography. You can always get in touch with me and ask for services or ask for anything in particular in terms of iRacing photos, or if available, I could even do some real life photography if that's what you needed as well.
There you go. Anyway, less of the shameless plugs here, and let's get back to the real meaty stuff. So you did mention that you had a G29 when you first set up on a PS4. What are you running at the moment?
Yeah, so I made a few improvements from then. I've gone from G29 on PS4 to Thrustmaster TSPC Racer, which was my first real PC racing wheel, with Fanatec V3 pedals. Slowly upgrading, I ended up getting to a Fanatec DD1 where I'm at the moment, with Huysenfeld Ultimate pedals and a full SimLab GT1 Evo with triple monitor backgrounds.
So all I'm seeing is you've got zero money in your account, but an extremely expensive rig. Are you a triple man? Triple
Yes,
fiend?
I'm definitely a triples. One of my triples is actually broken in terms of the monitors at the moment. Fingers crossed, I'm actually upgrading that tomorrow. As a friend has kindly donated his triples as he's downgrading his rig. So he's giving me to a good price. But yeah, at the moment I'm triples, and I think I'll stay triples for a long time.
Have you ever done the VR? Have you ever tried VR?
Yeah, I've definitely tried the VR. It's just not my style. I get a little bit motion sickness, so I struggle a little bit. But it definitely is fun, and I enjoyed my time while I had the VR.
I mean, obviously, I can see you've got the HyperX the microphone there. I can see it in the corner. Obviously, I've got my little microphone. Obviously, mine's the better one, mate. I've got the RGB one. So
I thought he was just trying to keep the mosquitoes away.
Yeah, they do. They are attracted to them, but it's great. But obviously, this is the first season of Performance Links. We're only 2 rounds into a 12 rounds. Is there any particular rounds that you're really looking forward to when we get around to them?
I feel like the popular choice from a lot of people is going to be the Nordschleife. It is a very popular big track. It is very fun when you can get the hang of it. But I'll leave the crowd a little bit. My favorite track in person, it was Sebring. I have slowly now chained over to Daytona. I do like Daytona and the bus stop, being able to fling it in at a high speed and taking a lot of curb.
Yeah, well, that's the only other night race. So the 2 night races seem to be your favorite. I mean, just talking about the race on Sunday that we just had. Obviously, we got you in for an interview at the end of it, and you very much said about the tire wear and how the other 2 Evo SR guys were seemed to be a lot better on the tire wear than you, Elliot and Matty. Was there anything putting that down to it, or were you just trying to push to try and get away from them, but were unable to?
It was a bit on both. I think they were putting out some really good pace. well able to tire save, where I was unable to tire save at the same time. I'm not sure. I'm doing a lot of training at the moment, trying to figure that out, trying to see where I can improve. But they just had some really good pace. And towards the end of the race, you could tell I was really struggling on the tire wear. And the way Elliot was able to pull away in those final 10 minutes after he passed both myself and Matty with the instance, he just pulled away with a bit of ease.
Was that like a bit of deja vu from the first race at Joaquin Glen? You had like a 4-second lead. Sorry to just rub it in. 4-second lead at Joaquin Glen, and then Elliot just sort of came up behind you and got away from you again. I think it is something to do with that. The tyre wear on that Porsche seems to be quite excessive, although they are driving the Porsche as well.
Yeah, obviously we're all in the same gear. I typically, one reason I put it down to is I don't drive baseline sets too often. So it's a bit of a different adventure driving a baseline set. The handling's always different. The car feels different. And you kind of got to drive the car a bit differently to get the pace and save the tires. So I'm trying to figure that out. So I can push the pace and keep the tires similar to how Elliot was during the Sebring race.
Definitely. And probably the last one for me, before see if Dave's got anything, is obviously I can see you're wearing an Olympus Esports top. Obviously, just explain the benefits of being a part of the team. What does it bring to you as a driver, and does it enhance the team? So tell us a little bit about the team, and then also, tell us the advantages you feel of being a part of a team like Olympus Sport.
Yeah, so Olympus Esports is a very newly founded Pro Series team. I'm one of the lead drivers. We do have several of the lead drivers, all with the 4-5K plus mark. Really, one of the biggest advantages of running with teams is you can bounce ideas for race pace and strategies and how to push the car. Really, you instead of pushing yourself to a new limit, you've got teammates to help push yourself or help push you to a different level of your driving. So we'll jump on weekly basis, do racing, and even just test driving against each other. Just really trying to push our own pace to push each other to the max. Because if we can perform ourselves to a high level, when we go and do our normal racing, we'll perform better. So like we'll practice as a team and we'll all practice together. And that's one of the things we offer with Olympus, being able to come together as a team, have a session together, and really help everyone from the rookie guys all the way up to that pro level. Obviously, Andy Booth, who's in the rookie series, he joins along, and he's really trying to push his pace and get up there with us now.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, the big advantage is, I suppose it is, you're part of a bigger family, aren't you? You've all got the same sort of interest. But Dave, have you got any more questions for Thomas?
Well, that's exactly what I was going to head on to, the team aspect. But
Sorry,
I in terms of the Nordschleife, obviously people mentioned it. You mentioned it's probably going to be people's favourites. I think for me and Andy, it probably won't be our favourites because some of the corner names, we're going to have hell trying to learn 174 corners. Yeah, with this championship obviously going on, have you got any other championships that you run coinciding, or is it just sort of you do one at a time and try and keep your mind focused on one?
It's kind of a hectic period at the moment. Obviously, Performance Link is very much on one side. I have WSL on a Wednesday night, which I'm actually preparing for tonight. I'm ready for tomorrow's round 1 race as well. They're running a very similar time frame on a weekly basis. And then I've got a monthly series as well. So IVRA, a big pro series as well. They run once a month, and I'm in the GT Sprint series for that. That's very much going up against the big teams like Forsdiller, Huisenfeld, the really good pro series. So that'll obviously take my mind away a little bit on those weekends while I've got IVA races. But very much at the moment, it's all Performance Link and WSL push for race series.
Yeah, and obviously they're all GT championships. Do you keep the same car so that you've got that consistency? Yeah.
Yeah, so across all 3 series, I'm driving the Porsche. Main reason to drive the Porsche is I'm more comfortable in the Porsche. I can push more pace out of that car. especially with a setup, obviously. But in terms of the car, I understand it a little bit more. So the whole idea was to stick with one car across all three, just to keep the familiarity and not changing series and changing cars.
Definitely, but I mean, I think that's probably it. You've got any more, Dave?
No, I think that's everything from me.
So, Thomas, thank you very much for coming to join us, mate. And before we let you go, we'll give you some more time for a little bit of shameless plug-in, or if you want to thank anybody out on screen. But over to you, Thomas.
Yeah, as Sunday night, thank you guys for the race broadcasting, for this podcast, and inviting me along. Tom Bingham for the series and inviting me along, and obviously offering my services to do photos for you all as well. The whole MC Sports for giving me the opportunity to represent them as well in the series and all the practice we do. And big one to Charles Michel for setting up practices and putting his money to the team and really helping us improve as a team as well. And everywhere else in terms of getting us in series as well. If you ever want to obviously get in touch with me, Instagram, TC_cinematography, or in Discord, where you can find me and get in touch. And I think the big one as well is get following our Twitch. This is Olympus Esports. You can catch me doing photo photography on there, and also catch our team's broadcast of races as well.
Definitely. Well, thanks for joining us, Thomas. And you get your practice in for your WSL race tomorrow, mate. I'm sure I'll be watching that as our Tom Bingham is racing in it as well. So good luck for tomorrow, mate.
Thank you very much, guys.
Cheers. So there was Thomas there for
me.
one of our big us, and to be able to look at him. And it's always good to get an insight into the drivers. We see him on the commentary. They come in for the odd interview every now and then, but it's nice to get to know the drivers a little bit better, a little bit of their background and what makes them tick, I suppose. So, every week we'll try to get a brand new driver, not always the pros. We'll get some of the rookies in, the brand new to iRacing to entice some of the younger members, because I think the thing that I found when as a very mediocre driver is that I absolutely sort of detested the official series because it was just like bumper cars, whereas leagues is a lot better, and I've learned so much more from that.
Yeah, exactly. And in leagues, you can bounce ideas off people because it's not always, all about I rating, all about safety rating and things. So you can push things a little bit further. Speaking of pushing things a little bit further, if you are watching live right now, please subscribe to the channel, Performance Link, and push that like button because it does actually help the channel and push these podcasts and these live races out to the world. We've done brilliantly so far in terms of the amount of people who have been watching and views and subscriptions coming on to Performance Link, but we'd really like to push it out a little bit further so people can see the whole series as quickly as possible.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the league itself is all about, it's Tom's brainchild of mine, and we want to give back to the iRacing community. We've got some top prizes for the drivers. We're trying to split it. We've got the 4 classes. I don't know of any other league that has 4 different classes, all from pro all the way down to rookies. So, have a look at our Discord down below. And like Dave said, just give us a subscribe. Click that bell and the like, and you'll get all our broadcasts. It's the race, every race. It's every first 3 Sundays of the next 4 months. There's going to be a race on, and obviously we're looking at doing a podcast sometime during the week, Tuesday or a Wednesday. But I suppose the main crux of why we are here tonight, and the dreaded bit for me and you, Dave, is looking at the incident. So what we're trying to do here is sort of be open and honest with the incident. So the drivers from Sunday have had the opportunity to put in protests. And what we're trying to do with this league is to make it as obvious and open as possible, so you can actually see, how we're coming up with the decisions that we are. So let's see if this works here. There we go. No, that's not worked.
That's the photos. You need to stop sharing and start again.
I did remove it. I did present it, and it should have gone on to iRacing. I don't know why it did that. Yeah, it is there. No, that's wrong. So just bear with us.
Yeah, as Andy
pretty
said at the
much.
start, it has been a bit rushed. Andy's had his technical issues and parents' evening. I've had a bit of fun here with my daughter having to go get checked out. So it's been a hectic day, but we've had to go live today because I'm actually working tomorrow night. So Andy didn't want to take all responsibility for the decisions.
I don't like that. I always like somebody. But there's a screen.
He can always go, yeah, Dave said that, not me.
There we go. I knew I'd get there in the end. It was because I didn't have the screen up, which was so these are going to be a bit more harder to see, I suppose. Being
It also might be a bit easier to find because we've only got one race.
We have exactly. So without further ado, let's get into the meat of it. So the first one is David Gill with Alexander Rhodes, lap number 20, I believe that is. So let's have a look at this. So let's try and find Mr. Gill. He's got the first two actually as Mr. Gill, so at least we should be able to find him. So there's David. Lap 20. Turn number 6, unsafe rejoin. So let's have a look. So turn 6 would be the hairpin, wouldn't it?
1, 2,
yeah. Oh, yeah, there we go. Let's have a look. Okay.
So is he avoiding one, or are we?
So
what he's saying?
He's basically saying that this car in front here, the McLaren of Alexander, is an unsafe rejoin. Okay. So let's have a look here. So. I don't see much wrong with that, to be fair. My first initial thing.
My initial thoughts are obviously David's thoughts that Alex has gone off and will, initially thought he's going to stay right because that is, what you'd kind of expect because that's a racing line, and he hasn't completely gone off and lost control of the car. Whereas I think what Alex has done is realised he's slow off the corner, kept it as straight as he can because obviously it bends, so you've got to get off the grass, and actually almost got out of people's way, and it's just a miscommunication between the two of them.
I think so as well. I mean, if we look here, Alexander does hit the dirty stuff on the exit of that corner, which is always a treacherous thing to do. He's quite lucky to save it, to be fair. Was still ahead at the moment of David. Comes back on the track. Does start to come out wide, but, he's still well within his prerogative to do. The car behind him is not right up the back. But what I do like and what, should be commended from Alex, he doesn't ever close off that gap on the right-hand side here. I think unfortunately, David maybe got a little bit spooked coming into the end here. If we watch it at normal speed, he's coming out wide, but then he goes across the truck there. There was room, and
you wonder how long he was going to. You're wondering how much he was going to stop before he come fully across. I'll just check quickly on board with Alex just to see the steering input, but I don't think it's anything that we've got different to what we've already said. We'll just have a look on it. Okay, so he comes into the corner, understeers off the track, gets it back on, and as I say, it's not like he's turning left. It is just to keep the wheel straight, because if he was turning, he's more likely to lose it on that. Yeah, if he's turning, he's more likely to lose it on the gravel. So he keeps it straight and then starts turning away.
And if we just look on board, just to dot all the I's, let's have a look. So coming around, obviously he is going to be faster out there because he came out.
Yeah, I can understand why both cars have done what they've done.
Yeah,
and I would say it's a misunderstanding between the two. So all I would say is obviously Alex just maybe look in the mirror when you rejoin, but you're trying to control the car, and any car like David's trying to take advantage of his situation, but sometimes you can just take a lift and just try and let it predict where it's going to go, especially with that bridge because it's so close to the circuit. that's just a danger. But I don't think either driver did anything wrong here.
No, I don't feel it. And but just having a look in some of the comments here, so should probably lift there, David, just to be safe. And I'll probably say that. I mean, obviously, it's easier when we're looking back on these replays to make the judgment call of what to do in the heat of the battle. But yeah, I mean, you can see it was coming across. Maybe do lift to live another day. I don't know if they are in the same class.
Yeah, I see David was saying check the cockpit view. I get why you did what you did.
Yeah.
And I get everything about that, David. I'm not saying you're in the wrong.
No,
I'm just
no,
saying, yeah,
Alexander.
Alex could have done a little bit better in staying one side or the other rather than middle of the track. But I don't think it's a dangerous one because there is space either side.
Yeah, I mean, as you can see from the video, I think you just got a little bit spooked here that he was going to carry on here, but he actually, as you saw on his replay, he got in the cockpit and then turned right when he gained control a little bit. So there was always a little bit of room there. And I think unfortunately you just hit that grass there on the left-hand side, which put your car offline, and then you were just on a one-way trip to this this barrier in front, unfortunately. So I'm going to put that to a racing incident. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay. There's that one. So next one is race 1, lap 10, exit of turn 1. There we go. Unsafe rejoin. So lap 10. Let's have a look at this one. So let's go. I wonder if Chopper would be a better view. Let's have a look here. So unsafe rejoin after this corner we're looking at. So we're looking at this driver here. Oh, okay. So
initial thoughts is that the car had no control over what he had no control because he was coming off the grass.
Yeah.
Just from that view.
All right, let's have a look on board Victor's here. So cockpit.
Yeah, I'm presuming he just
not going too fast.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
it's not like he's gone across to purposely block anybody. He's literally just lost control. If you play from cockpit view again, he's tried to miss that car, caught the gravel.
I think he's probably done what is now maybe let's have a look. So if we look from the rear chase, I want to look at I think it's Alexander again. So let's have a look at Alex coming around here, because obviously he's coming around here. There's a car on the outside. And I think, again, it's a little bit spooked. And unfortunately...
Yeah, I think the gap was always going to close there for the car on the outside. Like Alex was further enough ahead not to have to worry about that. Then the car has obviously caught the grass. He's tried to hold it, and it's just unfortunate. Again, David again was alongside him, and it's just... I'm afraid that one for me is just unfortunate.
Yeah, and I think it. To be honest, it is, because if you look at Victor, he does try to do, because he's closed that speed really quickly, hasn't he? Because you can see him there on the outside, and Alex is coming over. I
can see him in the chat. Alex says that he might have caused this because there's a damaged car that he found out at turn 1, but actually, that along there, the gap was always going to close to that car on the outside, and he wasn't like alongside you on exit. It was the extra run that put him even close to coming alongside. So I wouldn't say you've caused anything with that, and I would have done exactly the same thing.
I think all I would say, Alex, and obviously we saw that on the last incident as well. You've done nothing wrong here, and don't take this the wrong way, but if you watch your movements coming in, I'll slow it down so you can watch yours. You're on a nice line, and then you suddenly sort of move slightly. If you can see a car coming on your inside and you know he's faster, try and keep to the inside line. It could have done it. You see it there, you're going out wide, and then all of a sudden you turn, which obviously spooked obviously David and Victor here, which caused them to go off track. Is just try to be a bit smoother around the corner. By all means, don't give up the place, because you are out here to race and obviously try your best. It's that little extra movement you do at the end. If you can see a car in your relative, you can see it in your rear view mirror. Obviously, in the Ferrari, I think you have that big center console as well, the rear camera. You can see the cars coming quite fast, and maybe try and give them the space. That's all I'll probably say on that. And to David, it's the bit you hate about racing, but I suppose that is racing. Is that unfortunately you're an unfortunate bystander of him losing control and not being able to control it coming off that, due to that a little bit of avoiding action there to try and watch out from.
And actually, because it was side to side, in real life you wouldn't have even had that. It would have just probably pinged him out, and you would have carried on. It was just it's iRacing, and it just. Yeah. I mean, to be honest, does David carry on anyway?
I think he probably does.
I mean, obviously picks up maybe a bit of damage, but
he probably would have had some damage on that. So you can see the car
if he does actually get spun round. No, that was well held, Dave.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Not a lot you can do. You're trying to control the car. You get up to that third corner. Yeah. So.
Good. So we're going to say racing incident.
Yeah, I think, David, you just had one of them nights where everything's magnetically attached to your car.
Yeah, I mean, we've all been there. Where
I also completely agree. I understand completely why you've probably put them in on the night as well.
Yeah, I would say that Team Bear Pope. I think Dave added to quite a few commentator issues, certainly around Sunset Bend, Dave?
Yeah.
Okay, next one is Frederick Goldberg. Yeah, Goldberg. Hopefully,
you're absolutely right, David. Just one of them races, it's
yeah. I mean, I suppose that's why we try and give you 2 drop rounds. So at least it's not like a series ending. And with the points being quite close, there is always opportunity. So there is that effect of the 2 rounds. So hopefully you agree with what we're showing. So Frederick Goldberg on Daniel Merchant in lap number 2. So let's try and find where he is. There he is. Lap 2. Okay, and where is it? It's turn 1, 2, or 3. I'm giving him space. He drives into me at turn 1. Then I proceed to go down the track wheel to wheel and then give him plenty of space. He drives into me to gain an advantage, so I can't take the corner, resulting in a crash. Let's have a look here. There's Daniel Merchant. Where is he?
Is that in the car in front?
No, that's...
was that him? So this is where a bit different with Alex. There's a bit of space and the car is there. I wouldn't say there's anything wrong there.
Okay, let's have a look on cockpit.
I think chopper cam's a better one because it will show.
Just having a look here. I think because it hits his corner. If you naturally hit that corner, you naturally go out. But I suppose
I don't think he's gone out that far. So
let's have a look here. So
he goes up on the curb to avoid getting even close. And could we go far chase of the car on the left-hand side? I'm just curious where they pull across any as well.
Let's So he's in the middle, stays left. No, he's not moved. He's not
he
moved.
stays middle of the track. But I'm not sure there's a huge amount Daniel could have done there.
Well, I mean, the only thing he could have done, and everybody knows that if you hit the corners in here, you naturally go out wide. If you look where his position is, like he said in the thing, he does leave him room, and there's plenty of room there to go around the outside. But
no, we just checked that one, Alex. He is in the middle of the track at all times. So
yeah.
We're looking at there.
We're satisfied with that. I'm happy with that. It's whether Daniel could have done better, or if that's.
I think obviously he could have took it a little bit slower, but in the heat of battle, are you going to do that? Probably not. That's a difficult one. Though.
The problem is if you're going up to this, if you're in this position at this corner, and this is obviously probably my bit of advice to the drivers out there. If you're in this position on this corner, if you're like Daniel Merchant here, you're not going to get the position on the next corner, because if we do watch it, let's have a look, see what happens here. I mean, you can see, well, obviously both cars do pirouette, but if you're on the inside here, you've got this inside line, so you're going to have to sort of pay back.
Yeah, Bear Pope, we are right. I'm not on about a full-on brake. It's got to be just a little bit slower with a bigger lift or something.
I think the thing is he's hit this curb, and if you hit any of the curb, and here's a prime example. If we look at the car just ahead here, this one, so we'll come back a bit. So he's done exactly the same move. He's hit that curb. Now watch him go naturally out of the track. So he's hit this curb here, and he's actually managed to maintain.
I would actually still say, if you pause there, he's probably as far out as if you then wind slowly forward with Daniel. Okay, he comes out a touch more, but not a huge amount more. That's
Let's look on ball again. It does. It does look like it comes across, doesn't it?
It does look like it, but obviously it turns.
But it's not.
That was me, and I was slow and rejoining.
I think it's obviously him coming out as well, isn't it? It's definitely not a level 2. It's not even a level 3. Nowhere near them two.
No. I know what the rules say, but I kind of don't see that as a level 2 as well, because it's. I know it takes
to me.
Out, that's the thing.
There is.
Because if he turns any more right, he could be thinking, because obviously it's a left-hand drive car, he could be thinking, is the grass still there, type thing. Like he control the slide up on the curb. If he thinks he's still got it turned right, that's what I think. But yeah, you could have. Could you have backed out of it a little bit more? Maybe. It's a. I mean, technically, we could also say the Ferrari could have a bit more on the left-hand side. He has got the space to go there to be careful. I'm not saying he should, but to be careful, he could go further left.
He could, but then he's compromising his line.
No, agreed.
That's what
I'm saying.
Far.
I'm not saying he should.
Frederick was in the right position. You can sort of see where he is out on track. He's literally halfway in the track, which has given Daniel the inside line. So it's I suppose it's down to Daniel to make sure that he can get in there. I think it is a clumsy mistake, if anything.
Yeah, it's not, as said in the piece, it's on purpose.
No, it's not. It's definitely not on purpose.
Nowhere near that.
You can see him turning right. I think it's a level 1.
Yeah, I would go for level 1 because partly because Daniel probably could have just backed off that touch bit more, but if like it's one of it's a racing incident, but there's
Let's
a
have look at
little bit of blame on there, shall we say?
I
He
mean,
does
he's
come out.
accelerated. He's come out. I mean, I'm just looking at his speed. So he
Yeah.
comes into it. Obviously, goes quite slow, and then just floors the throttle because look at the speed just goes rocketing up. So I think a level 1. That's my opinion on it.
I would go with that. I'd go with that.
Okay.
Just in reply to people in the chat while Andy's writing that down. In terms of if you gave him more space and a worse turn later for yourself, I understand that, but also it's a risk you take. Like you are middle of a track. Somebody could say you could have a bit more on the left-hand side. You could move over a bit more. Yes, you'd have a worse corner, but it's a risk you take, especially in something like iRacing. Because even if he hadn't come over, netcode could have got you. I know you don't always think about that, but that's how I normally race. I always race with that extra space because of netcode, because it can be terrible. But no netcode there. No. Daniel, I would say I understand it completely why he's done what he's done. And it's just one of them where he could have just backed out of it a little bit more.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's borderline a racing incident / but I think probably because the thing for me is if he didn't go on the curb, he would have got that corner. If he didn't accelerate as hard as he did, he probably would have made it less of a.
It's almost the outcome that's the issue. Yeah, if it had just spun him out at the end of the day, you probably wouldn't have sent it through anyway. But secondly, because it's took both of you out, that's where I think level 2 would be a bit harsh on that, because it's not a genuine.
I think level 2 is too harsh. It was borderline being a racing incident. It was only probably because he probably put his foot down in the acceleration and obviously hit that curb, was the fact that he hit into the car. So, for me, that's why it's a level 1. It's not a full blown smash into the car going into that, and you can blatantly see him. We might see
give
some
a bit of example to that. It's like, I think it was level 2 we gave Tom last week when he made the move. It was a conscious decision to make the move, whereas this one, it's not a conscious decision by Daniel to floor it, and it's just that corner is flat out, so you automatically do it, floor it. It's not a conscious thing.
Right. I will commend Oscar Christensen for penalising himself, and we will have a look at him. But
I have seen on the Discord that he claims he didn't send that one in, but
did he not? Well,
I don't know. But anyway, he did say. I think he did mention that it was worthy having a look at, shall we say? So
it's a rather clumsy tag from Oscar going into the last corner. So I think it should have been somebody else putting it in, but unfortunately, people can't do it. So unfortunately, because we don't know who you are. And as by the rules, because you haven't filled it out right, we're not going to penalty, but we will have a look at it and just see what it is. So it's lap 1.
Because if it's Oscar actually has penalised himself, then
Yeah. So we'll have a look. It's lap number 1, so it's that carnage that was Sunset Bend. Let's forward it up. I could actually go forward, but we get a nice super fast view of Sebring. Why not?
We need to do a race of his speed. There we go, right. So he's up.
Right, so this is what we were on about before, guys. Obviously, Sebring, and any super fast corner that's got a straight line. I mean, another one for the track coming up is Maggots and Beckett's. Going too wide into there is absolutely crazy. And Sunset Bend is another one of them corners. Going into it too wide is probably not the ideal thing to do. So we'll have a look here just for a bit of educational purposes. So I'm assuming that the person that should have put him in was, I think, Dean Powell. Probably should have put this in, but don't know if he did or not. But we'll have a look. So here we go. Coming in, try to do that undercut move there, and literally tag the back of him.
By looks of it.
Yeah, it's that bump, isn't it? Absolutely terrible corner for. Let's have a look on board.
Oh no, he actually he catches the back of the car. He gets miscaught out by the braking and just ends up running into the back of Dean, and then you slide into oblivion and meeting Mr. Barrier.
So, I mean, this is always the corner. It's going to be the treacherous. People have got so many different braking markers at sunset that.
Yeah, he just gets misjudged.
That is hot. That is very hot into there, though.
Yeah. I think he probably would have lost it anyway, but it's just one of them where he's gone in too hot, caught the back of a Porsche. He might have got it slowed down. You never know, but because he's caught the back of a Porsche, it's off towards the Shadow Realm, as we would be told.
I mean, you can see the speed is not actually that much different. No. It's probably the braking.
I think it just looks it. It just looks it.
Yeah, quite hard on it, and it's probably obviously the other thing. But that corner is super treacherous. I think we saw about 3 or 4 incidents. Unfortunately, there was one with Dean in held within the incident.
Now, if that was filled in correctly, it would be a penalty.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's a responsibility of the car behind to judge the braking distance of the car. In my eyes, it's not. Obviously, Dean didn't do anything wrong.
As the speeds weren't stupidly different as well, I'd probably, if I was giving something to that, I'd be giving a level 2.
Yeah, I was thinking level 2 because that's
especially as it's
hitting into the back. Yeah, tires are cold, brakes are cold, going in a little bit too hard. And that's the thing, guys. Obviously, with the first lap, your brakes are going to be cold. You haven't got that thing like we had at Watkins Glen. We had the second lap to do the warmer tires and warmer brakes. You're literally going from the off, and that sunset bend is a nightmare. So that would have been thingy, but Oscar, you got away with that one by the skin of your teeth. But that would have been a level 2 penalty in my eyes. So, but that was well illustrated of the closing speed, certainly on that opening lap, that people in the cars behind need to be aware of. I mean, it already looks like you've been in the battles there on the left anyway. You know.
I mean, it's just.
I think if he wasn't there,
both head the same way.
I think if he wasn't there, I think he would have even struggled to.
He might have lost the back end anyway because
he was going extremely hot there. But thank you for that, Oscar. We'll
lucky boy.
Right, and then we got Oscar. We got Oscar again on Andy Booth, lap 19 and 20. On lap 19, he was a back marker and wasn't letting anyone through. I'm assuming was letting off the throttle, but not me. Okay, let's have a look at it.
Okay, well, Andy finds that. I'll just have a look at the comments. Arthur, yeah, it's a great idea to go through reviews. It's just hoping people can learn, and obviously, as the season goes on, we'll get less and less reviews.
You have more and more driver interviews then.
yeah, hopefully. And also, it lets people learn. It lets people learn. It lets people understand where our decision making is coming from. And if they want to appeal it afterwards, that is also allowed. We had one which was appealed before. I can't remember if it was overturned or not, but it was appealed, and you get one successful appeal per thing.
Right, so where
Arthur, you can put. There is a Discord. It should be in the comment below. The blurb below the stream. If it's not, we'll make sure it's there by the morning, so we could just pop it in the next when it comes up. But,
definitely.
Put yourself into the Discord. Mention that you want to race, and if there's space, Andy and Tom will be able to.
I think there is a space opened up on the grid as well. So there you go.
Yeah. So if you're interested, feel free, and then Tom and Andy can arrange the payment and for you to join the grid in time for Silverstone.
Yeah, and luckily you don't lose out because 2 drop rounds. We've had 2 rounds, so therefore you are still, whoever joins is still in the fight for a place. So if it's not in the Discord below and you want that place, Arthur, then it's yours, mate. If you say in Discord that you definitely want that place, I will get you the Discord link and we'll get you on the grid, mate. So, right, okay. So, what are we looking at? So, we're looking at, is this Andy Booth in front? Right, okay. So, let's have a look. So, basically, he's saying he's not letting him pass.
Yeah, but the link isn't below at the moment, but we will get it put there at some point.
So, how does the drop round work? So, basically, you've got 12 rounds over the season, and your 2 lowest scoring rounds will be wiped. So basically, everybody has 2 rounds wiped. So the worst 2 scores that they score in the 12 round are taken out and not counted. And then obviously the points are based off your best 10 rounds. So if you have a couple of terrible rounds where you literally don't go out there and do well, then basically they're the ones that are going to be scrubbed. And probably the ones that are going to be scrubbed are probably the 2 30-minute races. You know, you really want to be trying to get the hour-long and the 2-hour, which are the more points races, that you don't really want them to be your drop round. Although the Format A holds the same points as Format B. So it's very much, doesn't matter if you drop Format A or B. I think C is probably the one you don't want to be dropping, because there's more points on offer for that round. So that's hopefully how it works.
Yeah, and obviously if you miss a round, then that becomes your drop. So,
all right. So one thing I do want to say here, I've just noted here straight away. We got Lydia here in. How do I know that? Because it's the only pink Mercedes out on track. So, you know, this is exactly how to do it if you're a back marker, by the way, guys. So you got a pro driver here. Extremely quick. You got Lydia just in front, the Mercedes here. She's a rookie driver. Coming through the corners here, she's just driving her normal lines, which is completely acceptable. But then just watch what she does here. She literally gets off the power, lets him pass, tucks in behind and carries on racing. That is the quickest way for both you and the driver coming back to be able to maximize the speed, because you can get behind the pro driver, get a bit of draft and get that extra couple of attempts. But what we're watching here, and what obviously the point is he's saying that Andy Booth is...
Okay, could we go back to the corner before, just so I can see? Yeah, keep going.
Are you on the back?
I just want to see from there. Just want to see the run out he gets. Okay.
So you got a pro and a rookie here. So the rookie should, because he's within 2 seconds, let off the power and get him through, but doesn't, and then tags the pro driver where he's coming from.
Yeah,
so
for me, there's enough time between the 2 corners, which is why I asked to go back to the corners, because I can never remember Sebring, especially in the dark. Andy's got enough time there to get off the power and conceive a position. And also, if he was going to conceive a position, conceding it on the right-hand side of the track on the inside of a corner is not the best way to do it. So, that is not the best way.
No. So we've had 2 examples there. One, how to do it. And unfortunately, Andy, one, how not to do it. Because like in the rules states that, you know, if a overtaking car is coming up and was within 1 second, then you're to let off the accelerator. And the reason why we've asked the drivers to do that is exactly what, and I will take it back just to show it again, you know, and this is the reason why, guys, we ask you to do this. We got a slower car here, faster car here, coming down onto the straight, perfectly by the rules here. She lays off to let the pro driver get the corner and get it done, and then tucks up. You can see the lights behind, tucking up behind, coming in. And he's okay here. He's fine. You can see the pro driver. He's literally closed up about a second within not long at all. So therefore, Andy should be letting off here to let the pro driver through. Doesn't, and then basically spins him out.
I am presuming this is a lapped runner.
Yes.
Yeah. So just in reply to Bear Pope in the chat saying, is he waiting for the next straight and that? He might be waiting for the next straight and that. But if you're going to wait for the next straight, that's fine. But it's just if the driver's that close. If the pro driver's that close,
really look how, can I get it any further? Look at a blimp. I mean, look how far he is from the car at the moment. So this is obviously Oscar, and then this is Andy's. The 2 that had, I mean, look how far off bring it back to here. So this is, where's that on the track? That is the hairpin. It's coming down to the hairpin. So we're coming up to the hairpin here. Obviously, that's Lydia in front. So big kudos to Lydia for doing the right thing here. Literally lets off the accelerator, lets the pro driver through, doesn't lose any time, tucks up behind him, and just carries on a normal line. Now, look how quickly it is there. I mean, that car got through, and then he's right on him here. And Andy should have let off here. This is a fast section of the track. It's flat out. It should have let off. The pro driver's now alongside him, and he tags him. So in my unfortunately, Andy, I mean, hopefully when you view this back, you sort of slightly agree that it does look like you should have let off there. You had opportunity there. Was a prime opportunity just to tuck in behind the pro driver and let him go. So, right.
Yeah, I would definitely say, at the end of the day, I'm not saying Andy is in the wrong there in terms of how he's doing it. It's just like there's plenty of time there where he is on the outside of the corner. It's not even like he's on the racing line through the first two corners. And then as he gets there, it's just turning it. I personally would have, if you wind it back just a little bit further, I would have got out of it like just be there or before where he was on the outside of the corner here. That looks like he's laying him through.
Yeah. It's something that you don't want to do, but why we're doing it is exactly this, to avoid this type of incident in a corner. The pro was obviously a lot quicker, was in front, was always going to get in front, and then because you took this corner, you would never take that line into this corner. You would always be, the normal line is out here and then coming around.
Yeah, if you just go back to a corner before again, and
just look at
he comes off the curb as well.
Yeah.
But from the corner before, if you press play now, you can see Andy. He's slightly inside, then he keeps it tight, so it looks like he's trying to lay him through, and then he's sort of outside to middle of the track all the way along. So it's not even a racing line, to be fair, through that bit, and then obviously the instant further on. Just to check on board with Andy, I know it's pretty much a slam dunk, but does he clip the curb or anything? If you just play from there with Andy, it's fine like that because we'll see it on the right hand side of his car. It looks like he's laying him through there if I was the car behind, and then obviously the guys massively outbraked him, didn't even touch the curb. So yeah, I'm afraid, Andy, it's one for the learning book.
Yeah, definitely. Level 2.
Yeah.
Side impact could have done. I mean, if it was a case of you just didn't let him pass and he got past, that's a level 1, and that's in the rules as a level 1 that you're not letting the faster driving through on the second straight or such.
I mean, generally, if he got through cleanly there, it would have just been. I don't even think it would have been brought up anyway, because it wasn't. He caught him so quickly that there wasn't really a block by Andy, but because it's caused an incident, that's where it gets brought up.
Yeah, in fact, level 2. That is no further action. Okay, next one is Dean Powell on Oscar. Oscar's been a busy boy.
Hang on, what lap?
This is lap number 1, and this is
it's
the last corner.
It's the same incident we've already seen.
Okay. So that is
we know the incident.
Well, we know it's a level 2, didn't we? We both said that it was a level 2.
I think that's already decided then, because we have seen that. If you didn't know, pop back early in the stream. You can see that one again. Oscar just running into the back of Dean, not on purpose, just getting caught out, and it causing an incident.
Yeah, being on the first lap, obviously trying to go in at your normal speed on that. Even if you are a pro driver, if you're that close to drivers in front of you, you're going to hit the back of the driver, and unfortunately, that does come with a penalty. So the
fair
next
play,
one
Andy.
is...
Fair play with your comment. The thing is, at the end of the day, with those incidences, especially in a
It's a
league,
fine margin, mate.
you've probably done it, gone, oh, crud, I don't want to do that again, and then gone, oh, hopefully you just won't put it in, and then he's put it in, and then you've got a penalty.
Yeah,
It's
I mean, it's just as long as you learn from it as well, that's what these are all about, is a little bit of learning process, not just for you, Andy, it's for the rest of the field. We do have this big gulf in iRating. So we've got the lower end players of like 1,200 less that are not going to be as technically minded as the pros. The pros are very quick and have got the skill to do on the outside. So it's all about doing that. And that's why we brought in that tool, the straight to sort of ease off, is to enable you not to lose too much time and also let the pro through without being on a corner. Because if you get an am and a pro and a rookie on a corner, we've just seen what happens there. And Lydia, it was just fortunate that Lydia was before it, and that was a perfect way of doing it. She lost no time. She literally got his slipstream and would have probably gained about a couple of attempts. So there we go. Okay, next one is Alexander Rhodes on Matthew Gerard. Le Mans. Either this is a brake check, net code, or a ridiculous difference in pace. Yeah. Most likely not a penalty, but I think it should be reviewed as it was a keystone to a multiple incident over the next few laps. So let's have a look at this. I think this was the so Matthew Gerard. So lap number 8 in Le Mans.
And Filthy Animal in the chat, you're exactly right. It is a skill to be lapped well. It is a skill to not lose the time.
It is.
Helia says, I watched this on his stream and it's 100% his fault. Well, we'll decide on that. Thanks for joining us, by the way, Elliot. So, who's put this in? Is it Matthew who's been the one who's...
Matthew, no, it's Alex has put it in. So here's Alex.
Oh, well, hello, Matthew, for turning up just as we get to this one. Thanks.
All right. What a time to jump in, definitely.
Yeah.
Right. So
we just decided you've been disqualified. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, lost your first place. Oh, right. Okay. Wow, that's a massive difference in speed there. Whoa.
A huge difference. Is this the actual... Is that the one we're talking about?
Yeah.
What's the difference in speed?
Wow, 203 to 135.
Can we just see whether Matthew's had an incident previous? Because that seems a very huge amount of speed difference.
That's cool.
Not compared to a car in front, just Alex is a huge amount quicker.
No, that to me, there's no brake check there. He brakes. That is a corner that you brake on.
I can't, Alex. I know you're in the chat. I can't understand how you've got that much speed difference between the two cars. And I'm not blaming you. I'm not blaming him. I just don't get where that's come from.
Right. So I'm probably right. I want to see what. So if we look at here. Alex is coming in. At this point, he's at 203 kilometers an hour. I want to look at some more laps of Alex to see what speed he's doing at this point, if it's the natural speed that he does, and it could well be, or if he just went in hot to try and close that gap up. Yeah. So let's have it's stupid. It goes to the stupid laps, isn't it? So we'll look at the lap after, lap number 10. Whoa, okay.
I would go lap before because obviously...
I'll just take it one after and one before, and we'll see what it is. So this is okay. So let's have a look here.
Hello, Lewis, in the chat. Come to see the joy. By the way, if anybody's wondering why I'm leaning round, it's just slightly. My camera's technically in the middle of your car, so I'm just leaning around to see what's going on. But it's the best view you get of my beautiful face. You see, so.
Right, so you're considerably slower on this. You're 140 rather than 203 at the same point. In fact, it's probably a little bit further on. If we look at lap 7, I think it was. And that was the incident. Lap 8. So we look at lap 7.
That's just like an insane difference in speed. So you're not there yet. Keep going. There we are.
So this is the lap before
And this is behind another car as well, so it gives us
138 there. So Alex, you were an Exocet. So let's have a look at why.
Yeah, I'd go on the cockpit cam when you get round to it.
Yeah. So that's Matthew in front. Just want to look at. Oh, let's do that.
So, like, you're not massively closing on him at any point during this lap. You know, you're there, but and closing in, but not stupid amounts in every corner.
That's a nice stop there. I like the way you stopped that.
I could never stop for that corner, to be fair. You'll have to tell me how. We're afraid replays don't have pedal trace, Alex.
No, it'd be nice to have it, but
we can only go off for speed, and obviously we know you're braking whether the speed's coming down massively or not, you see.
So there we go. I'm going to say that you got fixated on the back of his car there and you lost your braking marker. That's what I think that happened there.
Does it still come up as 200 and odd at the point of contact?
Yeah, it's down here. Speed's down here. You stop and you're not.
Yeah, what speed is it just before the contact? Because obviously
170.
Yeah, so that 200 and something was a false reading, I think. So 140 odd. So you're at 140 odd there, and previously you were 120 was the max, was it?
Yeah, it's around about 130. I think he did get a little bit fixated here on the back of his car, because if you, and we can go on board for another lap, but it's a good thing. And only you be able to tell this if this is the case, but it looks like, because you can sort of see here. We'll have a look at Matthews and see his closing speed on the other one, but
it's certainly not a brake check.
No. Because you always naturally brake on that to get the inside.
Also, why would he? You know, you're too far back. There's no reason to brake test you. It's not like you've been stuck in a fight, for example. You know, it's not like you've been fighting for the last 6 laps and you've been knocking 7 bells out of each other.
They probably have. I think in the race, these two were actually fighting quite hard for that position.
Have a look where I am on the corner before. I have a feeling I've got to slow down. Maybe I let off sooner than I should have.
Who was that?
That's what Matthew says.
Okay, let's have a look. That could be why that is. Let's have a look. Thanks for your honesty. I appreciate that. Let's have a look.
But the let-off we'd be able to see with the speed, and your speed is whatever it is into the corner. So if it was slow down, I'd suspect you.
Which corner do you think you got to slow down then? It's certainly not this one.
You would have wanted to get off it by now. It would have to be the right-hander going across the curb. A bit further on.
I'm just looking back if it is.
Yeah, it won't have been here because he would have had to serve
he's on track. Then. Well, he's on track as well. He's not come off.
There.
They're all 4 wheels off.
Is it? Is that any different to that? Is quite far off.
I don't know if you get. I don't know where the.
I don't know if you do, but
Isn't it weird to get the different speeds here? So it's 36. I mean, he was around about 130, so
Yeah, so there's
a
about
little bit. So I think it may be a little bit slower here. I
would
think, and
would
that's
you?
probably what it is.
Yeah, I was going to say I can't see a speed difference there, Matt, where
This
you have lifted off for
there,
slowdown.
there, this bit.
You've
He's
braked,
gone
but
down and then he comes in, but I think it's just being aware. I don't think it is.
I
There is no
think
penalty here.
right now we wouldn't give a penalty for this for a
No,
couple
I
of reasons.
think.
Like Alex was a bit quick in compared to the other car, which you've got to judge when you're passing other cars who might be slower than you. Secondly, we don't know if Matthew's got to slow down, which could have contributed to it. So we can't put that, we can't substantiate that.
Yeah.
And thirdly, it's a bit of just a misunderstanding. And technically, Alex put the appeal in, and Alex ran into the back of him. So
But,
technically, I don't think Alex wants us penalising himself.
Well, at the other end, and as it says in the rules, that if we find or deem that the person putting in the penalty was it wrong, the penalty can get reversed as well.
Yeah.
So I was just looking at that, but I think obviously with Matthew saying that he possibly had a slowdown, I think that is the case. That he may have gone a little bit slower there, caught out Alex, and Alex may have been fixated with the fast. Lost his braking marker a bit, but it's a good illustration of just basically being aware of your surroundings. I think this is.
I'd be honest, when you're playing it live, it looks huge. It looks a huge difference, but we're talking 10 kph. Difference in speed, so it's not a huge. It probably felt like it, but it wasn't.
I think, to be honest, I think Matthew came off worse there anyway. He lost. He lost the position and actually got punted out wide on the exit. So we watch Alex here. So he's literally gone out wide, lost the position.
If in future that happens to you and you want it reviewing, obviously please put it in because we can review it.
It's good
and
as well, isn't it?
If we didn't have all them, did Matt get a slow down? And it was different corner on a track on a different circuit, it could be different. So very much we think it's just one of them miscalculations between two cars, which I think we had the first one tonight was a miscalculation. So, which is easy to do in the dark as well. Okay,
so next one is Alexander Rhodes again in the walls.
Alex, you're a favourite person. We should charge for this. Everyone that gets put in, we charge.
He's just going for camera time, isn't he? I think that's what it is. I think
Did we not put you on the stream enough?
I do like the look of the Malcarran, certainly at night as well, so it always makes good. So what we're looking at here is sunset. Daniel Lilivec behind. A driver lost patience, ended up in the wall, and ended the race of multiple drivers afterwards.
Okay,
let's have a look. So I think Daniel's behind now. No, that's Victor. There's Daniel.
Yeah, lost control of the car. That's all right. Yeah, we saw that live on the stream because I remember him trying to get across to the pit lane. I don't see an issue there.
To me, there's no issue. I don't know why he's not got a banner on. Okay. Oh, darling, he's either an AM or a rookie. I can't remember which one. In fact, what number is he? He's
Matthew. I wasn't going to say that, but there does seem to be a common denominator in this.
It's just a case of going in too hot into too much speed into thingy.
And it hasn't caused any incident because, Alex has had to try and avoid him slightly, maybe. But it's not like Daniel had anywhere to go. It's a wall.
Yeah.
He
just went in too hot.
He's still collecting it when Alex is coming past. So that it's not a purposeful, I'm coming back onto the circuit. It's, oh my God, I've hit the wall. How do I keep the car away from it?
Let's have a look. You probably have to change your pants after it, but, you'll be all right living on. Let's watch on board from you. Yeah, bit of change of pants there, but, you'd be rude.
Alex says, this caused damage and resulted in the next lap mess at turn 1. So if we go on to turn 1, we can see a bit of damage. But I think that, if we go back and look at the chopper cam, I got a feeling it might be a bit netcode. It didn't look as close as.
I mean, it's not a lot that Daniel could have done.
No.
He hit the wall and he bounced off the wall, and
Chopper.
it's exactly like David's was on yours on the first one. Is that or the second one as well? First, second, third. I can't remember how many Alex has had tonight. But yeah, the second incident coming around turn number one. It's just
actually far
it's
chase
just
would be
one of them,
best,
isn't
wouldn't it?
Yeah.
There we go. We just play it ahead. You're coming round, you see what's happening, you go in, bye Daniel. Obviously Daniel hits a wall, he's still
Bounces
collecting
off.
it, still collecting it, still
He's trying to turn left.
You have, look, netcode.
Yeah.
Pure netcode that's caused damage, and you've gone up to turn one.
Crappy netcode.
We will have a look at if you just press play.
Well, I mean, it's going to be that, because obviously you can look at his.
Yeah,
when he's trying to go straight.
Because Alex is saying that obviously that's caused damage to his car, and then that's caused the mess. At this point, you know there's damage to your car. So for me, you've got to be
there you
aware
go.
of
There you go. That's the incident, and this is the incident that we reviewed earlier on with the closing the speed.
Yeah. So obviously, now we know of that damaged car. You ran wide and things like that. I mean, obviously everything happened afterwards, which we watched earlier. It's amazing how things come around in circles.
There we go. So
but for Alex, because you had the damage, obviously there's no penalty or anything, but I would honestly say with that one, you probably should have been a little bit more cautious into turn one, especially running out wide, knowing you had damage. Not that there's blame. There's not blame at all. I'm just saying, just take it a little bit more careful.
Okay, and have a guess who the next one is.
Alex, you're back in.
So lap 10.
Hey, I tell you what, if this was real life racing, Alex, this would be expensive, because I don't know if anybody actually knows how much it is to put an appeal, even in go-karts in Britain. It's expensive.
Okay, so this is the same incident we just watched.
Okay.
So
this was put in by who?
Alex again.
Okay. Oh, is this because David comes across and gets you afterwards?
No, this is against Victor. So this is against him. It's basically he hasn't even touched yet. And we've just obviously discussed this, Alex. You had obviously broken steering. So to be fair, if these cars are coming through behind you, you should have gone really far to the left if you're trying to get back to the pits. But you try and maintain the speed. You've got broken steering, and that's why. See that little kink move there that we were discussing earlier. That's why you had that sort of little kink.
And also, Alex, you've got absolutely nothing to protest him for. To be fair.
You didn't.
You're protesting yourself here. Okay, well, credit for that, but I don't think there's anything to protest. I think it's the same protest we saw earlier from David in the whole grand scheme of things. Nobody really did anything wrong.
Right, okay, so I can see Victor's putting the same protest further down.
Oh, okay. Well, we can narrow that down. We've gone through this incident 3 times now, so
yeah.
I don't think there's any blame towards Alex. I don't think there's any blame really towards Victor. Yeah, you could have probably predicted it, but Alex, I see you say you didn't know if the car had damage until you obviously turned in. Do you not have the wheel turned on in car? Because if you don't have a wheel turned on, I could understand that. But
no, because if you got a wheel, your wheel will be at 45 degrees to go straight. So I don't know how you wouldn't know your steering wasn't broken, but it's.
But yeah, I don't think there's any blame in that turn 1 instant at all to anybody. It's just one of them. Like Victor maybe should have backed off earlier, seeing the door about to close. Alex,
I think the only thing I would say,
could have kept it tighter with the damage.
Yeah, if you got
David
damage like that,
unlucky.
If you got damage like that, do not try to get on that racing line, because I think you are at fault there, because you got on the racing line with a really slow car with fast cars coming behind you, and that really spooked Victor there that made him go off, and then obviously caused that effect with David before. So I don't know. I think this is where I'm in a little bit of different disagreement now. I do think that Alex should have gone on the inside of that. He was excessively slow because of his steering that we now know.
Well, this is the first time we had a penalty, appeal against Alex, because previously it was an appeal for.
Well, we've had all three cars.
Yeah, we haven't got to Victor.
David Gill with Victor. We've already done that one. Now we've got Alex on Victor, and then we've got Victor on Alex. Okay, I think what we'll do is put this one down to educational, because it is. But my sort of take as well is, I think, like you'll probably say yourself, Alex, with a damaged car that big, you'd be going super slow. That any cars that are around you are really going to close the gap super quick. And I think that's what's happened here, because Victor's come around the outside, full speed here. You can't put full speed. And that there, to me, do you see there where you move over, you literally sort of pushed him. So, I think it's a level 1 to me, because you're driving a damaged car and you're on the racing line.
I get you now, especially now, Alex. This is the problem with the live chat, because actually you can incriminate yourself. Saying it felt fine on the straight, just a little off. Well, if it's a little off, I don't know how much iRacing you've done previously, but with iRacing, if you have a little bit of steering damage, it can, especially, I mean, you're doing, this is going to look weird because it's mirrored, but if you're doing that going into the first corner at Sebring, and your wheels that way down, if you turn more, it's going to break away on the rear end, and that's what you got that little wobble on.
So if we look coming down the straight here, so you get the damage there, and that is obviously
you see the wheel. Look, there
you can see the wheel. You're off center. You've got cars around you, and this is where probably a little bit of practice comes in. You are a rookie, and we know you're low I rating, but being that sort of damage when you're trying to come in. I know you're trying to do it, but then you're getting back on the power, and then it's not too bad.
There's not the wobble. That's the thing.
And that was just unfortunate.
That was damage.
That was just unfortunate. I think it wasn't obvious that you were crabbing, so I think I'll rescind what I said with the level 1. I think
it's so borderline between the two that, because it's this stage of the season, we've still got people learning. I think it's a message to everybody in the championship. If you've got a damaged car, just be careful. I know you want to get back to pits and get it fixed, but be careful for the next few corners, especially if you have cars around you like that.
Yeah. So for them 3, it's basically, I'm just going to put it, we're going to say racing incident as well, aren't we?
Yeah, Alex, I saw the wobble. Actually, on board, there wasn't that much of a wobble. That's a weird thing.
It was that little kink. It was that little kink that we saw earlier on, and I think that's...
you can see it from the outside, but when you're on board, the wheel doesn't move.
No, I know, but let's have a look at... I mean, from probably Victor, you probably see it. You probably see it here. Obviously, there's Alex on the left. Obviously, a little bit of... do you see there? Comes around the corner, takes it quite wide. So he's out of the vision now. Coming in, and then there. See that little bit there?
Yeah.
And that would be the damage on your car that made the car did it, but your steering input wasn't doing that. So
there's no contact. It was possibly netcode between you and Victor if it was anything.
Yeah, so we'll put that one down to a learning. If it was to happen again in the future, then you would definitely get a penalty, because we've obviously gone through it now.
And also we've just made our life a little bit easier by getting rid of 3 penalty, 3 investigations in one. Yeah,
we have.
This is what we need to do. We need to go through them beforehand and find out which ones are all together. Yeah.
All right. Next one is Jimmy Vark with Aaron Powell on lap 1, sunset, rejoining by crossing in front of parked cars.
Yeah, this was the corner that the Powells did not enjoy.
No, this is not. So.
And at least it's not like the karting championship iRacing where you have Chris Powell and Christopher Powell. At least you got different first names.
Right, so I think we'll look at. There's one of the far. Blimey, it must have been Aaron. Was it Aaron?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's watch on board with Aaron then.
Loses the back end because he sees what's going on in front. That's fine. Brake, hold. He's holding.
Nothing wrong with that.
I would just quickly check the car that was closest to him. Was it the blue and white? I think it was a Performance Link car, actually.
Am I going the wrong way? Yeah.
Well, we've got to go off Jimmy, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he's the one who appeals it. There we go. That won't help. There we go.
Let's have a look.
Comes round. He's seen a gap, which means he can try and get out of the way. Yeah, there's a little bit of avoidance by the car in front, but
I think it would have been even worse if he had stayed still.
If I was Aaron, I would not want to be in that position, staying on the circuit.
No, so and I think Jimmy. I think Jimmy's probably quite lucky he did move, because if you look at his car, Aaron's car was just here.
Yeah.
He would have had a hard job trying to avoid it.
I would say, yeah, Jimmy, I can see why you put it in, but it's not. This is something which everybody needs to learn. It's not actually affected you. I know why you put it in.
I don't think it affected anybody. I thought,
yeah,
to be honest,
if anyone's putting it in, it would be the car that actually has to avoid him.
I think it was a good maneuver there from Aaron. If I got to be honest, you can see him there right on the racing line. Literally, has the gap. Has got the gap, moves out of the way of these cars coming forward. A little bit of movement there to go, but that was probably the perfect gap. And there's a good illustration of using the relative, I suppose.
Also, to answer the question that's just come in, how about getting off the line? Well, if Andy can just find where Aaron is side on in the corner, this is the perfect view of it. If you look there is no other way he can go. If he goes backwards, he's being completely unpredictable to cars because he can't see. At least he can see straight on, that he can floor it straight away in first gear and at least get onto the grass if he needs to. If he goes backwards, you've got to select reverse, and it's not as quick as pulling away. So you're actually delaying a moment where somebody might want to go around the outside, because people do run very wide, as we've seen there at Sunset. They do run that line that goes around the outside of it. So I actually don't think
he's coming out there.
Yeah.
I mean, look, there's so many different lines in Sunset. And I think, it was a fight. To me, it was quite close, but that's looking at your relative. If you look, when he actually spun.
Yeah. If you can show him when he spun on the how close he is to the apex. Be on board with him.
No, I quite like this angle, actually. I think it shows. Yeah. So he's coming around here, spins it. So he's here. In the racing lines, hold it to find a gap, saw a gap there, and then moved just before.
He's also known there's two cars. He's just had an accident, rejoining behind him.
Yeah, that I think what he did there was he saw a gap, and I bet he did, because I do know Aaron. Anyway.
Alex says, I use the wide lines. I'd say that's good thinking. Yeah, because you would have careered into the side of him.
But yeah, to me, there's zero incident there.
Yeah, it also gave him the opportunity, if he was damaged, to go into a pit lane. If he'd reversed it, that opportunity was not there.
Yeah.
And I've got to admit that it was a very good comeback drive by Aaron as well at the weekend.
Okay, I missed one here. So Jimmy again, Kev Copeland, lap number 2 into Cunningham, outbreaks himself, tries passing car behind. I see him coming and leave space, but he's nowhere near making the corner. Let's have a look.
Elliot, you've got it bang on. It's a lose-lose situation. Whatever he did, if he stayed there, he'd probably get hit. If he didn't stay there, he'd probably hit anybody.
Exactly. I thought he did a great job in getting out of the way, by the way. And that would have been because he looked at his relative and saw that there was an opportunity to get out of the way. if you saw he held his brakes when he was around the cars when they were that close. Car went past him. There was probably about a second gap, and he made that move and pretty much got out. If he hadn't moved, I think with we saw there, and we can see all these cars here, they would have cleared into him, and that would have caused a car park at the sunset for sure.
Right. Arthur, just to comment on what nobody's been affected. The car that had to rejoin, the car before the rejoined car, the Performance Link car, did have to avoid it a bit. And from Jimmy's view, he probably thought he'd been balked. So it technically wasn't Jimmy's to protest. It was the car that got affected. But we're not going to tell drivers not to protest something. We'd rather have a look at something for 1 second and go, yeah, sorry, that's complete and utter rubbish. We'll throw it out. Then you not protest something and regret it because it's.
Obviously, if it doesn't involve you, then and it doesn't affect your race, there's no need to put the protest in. The other car that is affected, he should put the protest, and he's within his rights not to put it in if he doesn't want to put it in. Do you know what I mean? So what we're looking at here, Jimmy Vark going into Cunningham. So it's the corner at the end of the hairpin. So we're just going through the hairpin here. And supposedly Kev Copeland. Let's see where Kev is. So there's Kev.
In reply to Team Bear Pope, the explanation makes sense. But yeah, 3 cars jumping on the brake. I wouldn't say they're jumping on the brakes because there wasn't a huge slowdown by everybody. Oh dear. Yes, okay. Thank you and good night. No disrespect, I think this is the clearest cut one we've had all night.
Probably, yeah.
In terms of an actual penalty.
So that's the break in there. That's the break in there. Kev's going deep, very deep, extremely deep and getting there. Yeah,
it's just a misjudged overtaking move, which would have been absolutely brilliant if the other car wasn't there. But at this stage, the other car is not knowing you're coming that quickly. Because I actually think Kev does get it. He's sliding a little bit, but he does get stopped around about the racing line. But in due course, he's actually taken somebody out.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he tried to outbrake. I think that's Tom in front.
Yeah.
And then basically just went too deep. And literally the closing gap was there. It's like he's tried to stop, but unfortunately couldn't.
I mean, if you're going to have a crash, don't have it in front of a series organizer. I mean, but it's never the best idea.
All right. So what are we saying? Level 1?
I guess it causes the car in front to lose a number of positions. Oh, it obviously causes damage to other cars as well. So I would probably go level 2.
I think that is a level 2 in the rules.
It is a complete mistake. He could have done with a bit more brake on his car, and it's caused damage to multiple cars because of a misjudgment. It's just a misjudgment. Kev hasn't meant it. Not by
no, he hasn't. I think he's obviously tried to get the car in front, didn't realise the car in front of him, the closing speed, and just made contact on the corner. But
bang on.
Okay. Next one is Steve Pierce, our AM winner. Where is he at? Mr. Pierce.
I think he's a bit higher than that.
Wasn't he? He was like mid-pack, wasn't he? There he is.
He's just avoided all this by the looks of it.
Yeah. 26, 27, and 28. Okay. Back marker should have let me through. So this may be another instance again where a back marker is obviously holding up. So 26. So let's have a look.
Yeah, Hakon, you may have not got damage, but by the looks of that, Tom might have picked up damage. And we can't judge that, so we just have to go with what we see. What corner we're looking at here?
It's basically just put the lap, so we're just obviously watching for a bit. So we're looking at this guy. So he's coming up on him now. So let's have a look. So it's not within a second there. It should be just over the second.
No, probably. I wouldn't say at this stage. It's also while the rules are
Let's
there
have a
about
look.
2 seconds and all that, it's also common sense.
Yeah.
Like,
so-
that gap is too much. It could completely lose Steve the race if he backed off at any point so far. Now
Okay,
you
so
game
he's
that little
closing
bit
it
closer.
now. He's closing up a bit more. So this should be the opportunity to let him pass. So he
Mhm.
doesn't. I mean, down this straight is a slam dunk. He should let him pass here. Doesn't. Staying quite close to him. That gap's coming down. If not, the start finish straight should definitely be where
Yeah.
he eases off and lets him through.
When does he actually get past? That's the question. Because now we're on a lap since. And
So
then
it
he
comes
runs
off there. Still doesn't let him pass. Wow.
Yeah.
Right. So this is another case of
Yeah, could
you know
have done it here.
why
Why
is
is he
Frederick
defending?
He's
Oh.
defending.
Just out of curiosity, what position is Frederick? Just compared to this car, is it actually for positional on
No,
track?
it's a lap.
Okay,
Frederick
so if
is
you just
down
flick
here.
forward to him
Lap down.
and just but if you flick forward to him, what? So Steve's. So I'm just trying to read that.
27. Yeah,
27th and
27th
15th. Okay, yeah, that's fine.
16.
That's
So
fine.
it's lapping it. Yeah.
Continue on, and we'll see when he actually gets past. So we've seen a couple of bits where they've ran off the track and not taken that opportunity. To spare you
Let's
time,
speed
I'm
up.
not giving him the position. I didn't see him up. Yeah, okay. So I read that as you were being annoying and going, I'm not giving him the position. I just I got you. It's
Who's
not
fifth? Is
about
that
position.
Frederick? Is that Frederick?
I don't know. It's
Smith.
just the way.
Who is
I'm guessing
this?
so.
Yeah. So basically, you should have given the
2
position.
laps.
It's near enough going into 3 laps. That's excessive amount of.
And he is
blocking.
right behind you at that stage. You know, like
Yeah,
you've had 2 run wides. There's another one, and
It's only because you went off. I think you gave him
Yeah.
the position, to be honest. So,
and obviously it puts this car on on Steve's tail, who is for position. Is it? Yes. So it's actually cost Steve a
different class. So it's different classes. So
Yeah.
it wasn't for position, but obviously Hakon has been able to has been able to close that gap because you've held him up for quite
2
severely.
laps, yeah.
That wasn't just 1 or 2. That was
I would
literally
say
2
when
laps.
you rejoined the circuit, turn 3.
That is
that's where you probably should have let him pass.
Yeah, that's a perfect illustration, guys, of what not to do if you are getting lapped. That was near enough 2 laps worth of blocking. I don't know about you, but I think that warrants a level 2.
Just to say,
it was too many.
It isn't F1 rules. It's not blue flag and dive out of the way. It's been sensible, and actually, you had enough opportunities throughout them laps to go, right, I don't need to be fighting this. This is actually losing me time. Never mind him. You know, you could have lifted on a straight. You could have. You just have to make it easy for him.
It's within 1 second, isn't it? As soon as the driver behind you is in 1 second, you've got 2 straights to basically let up and let him pass. If not, that is a level 1, and I think that's what it states in the rules. I think the problem here is you did it for 2 laps, so you literally cost him a lot of time.
Yeah, I'd say the first half of that. The first half for that, you were further enough ahead that it doesn't, even if it said a second, you're not holding him up. But once you got onto the pit straight, I think he was right with you. You could have let him through. There's
plenty of opportunity.
And then when you went off and rejoined, stay right, lay him through, or lay him through on the next lap because you got tyres. I'll go with your call on this because I actually don't know the blue flag penalty rules.
Well, it is 1. It's a level 1 if you don't let him through. It is a level 1, but I don't know because it's so far into so much blacking.
I would go towards level 2 because of the dangerous rejoin as well, where you could have let him through. There's twice you made him get on the brakes.
Yeah, severely on the brakes. So unfortunately, I think that is a level 2, and I think that's a fair one. If you just hadn't let him pass within that first half a lap, okay, that's a level 1. But because you consistently did it for over a lap and you nearly took him out, I think that warrants a level 2 there. But that's a good illustration, guys. And obviously, sorry to highlight that one, is what not to do. You don't need to do that. You're not in the I don't even think they're in the same class. So therefore, just get out the way, tuck him behind him, use his slipstream, and then just follow on. And he may even drag you up to the car you're actually fighting, because you can see there in the timing tower, there's quite a few drivers on a lap down as well.
Alex, just to make your point about you've lifted at times and people haven't gone through. I'll be honest, if they're that close to you and you've lifted them and not gone through, either you're not lifting enough or they're got some kind of issue. That's the only reason. There's no other reason to sit behind you. Andy, could you just fill in what the difference in penalties for level 1 and 2 is? Because I think Frederick's just asked. It is in the rules for you.
I will read the definition of a level 1 or level 2.
Well, I think it's more what the penalty is.
Yeah. What? What
the literal penalty is. What he receives.
Right. Okay. So let me just dig it out. Get my refer to the book. Okay.
It's not that thick, by the way, people. There isn't that many pages on it.
Yes, there is. There's loads. Shut up. Right. So the blue flag, it says if a lap car defends an overtaking car, this will yield a stage 1 penalty unless fighting for another car for position alongside. And in this situation, the lapping car must wait to make the move to ensure a safe pass. So under normal circumstances, it'll be a level 1. The reason why I've sort of looked at being a level 2, Frederick, is because you literally was blocking him for literally a lap and a half. There was plenty of opportunity where you could have given the position up and you didn't, and you even blocked him a few times when he had the opportunity to make the post with a sort of rejoin. So stage 2 is awarded for causing excessive damage to another car in the forms of loss of position or time, changing a racing line in an aggressive manner, under braking. So that's what a level 2, but it's that sort of thing. A stage 1 can be awarded for obstructing in qualifying during a race, minor incidents that don't meet a stage 2 criteria. Could incur a stage 1, such as hitting someone off the track aggressively from the side, causing a loss of positions. Okay, so
the penalty is for level 1 and level 2. It's 1 and 2 penalty points, isn't it? Is that right?
It is. So a stage 1 we yield 1 license point and 3 penalty points. A stage 2 is 2 license point and 5 penalty points.
Yeah, so we could technically have given you 2 stage 1s for what you did because of the dangerous rejoins. But so actually you're getting away with an extra point by being a level 2. but we'll be nice. We'll be nice.
But I mean, even look at that, mate. I mean, you shouldn't have really been fighting as much as you was with him, considering you were a lap down on that. So it's
I think you do
have the opportunity. Yeah, you have the opportunity to put in an appeal if you so wish to, if you don't agree with our findings. But anyway, and I think we are on the final one of the day.
Let's hope this is no better than Wetlands Glen.
So, we got another sunset bend. So Nicholas Gronstrom.
Okay.
Where are you? Yeah, I think he's down the back here. Nicholas. No,
so you may have noticed we had more this week, but we actually got through them quicker because we actually know what we're doing now.
On Alex Ganderscore at 4 or 5. Okay. All I would say, guys, you need to be a little bit more specific, not 4 and 5. You should watch the replay back and then tell me the lap. So we'll go with this and then rewind it.
The other thing I'd suggest is if you finish a race and you see an incident, you know the incident's happened, try and put a memory or go to your replay. Don't storm off and in a huff about it. Go and watch it back and think if you actually think it's a penalty with a hindsight, because obviously we're going to be able to see every view going rather than your instant reaction. So it'd be best if you go look at it yourself.
Right, so
this was put in by Nicholas, I guess?
Yep.
Yep. Right now, I don't see a huge amount of difference between the one we had earlier.
No, I'm thinking that.
Except for it's more to the side than into rear than the other one, but it's still into rear.
It is. But the difference is it's not lap one. That's the big difference for me. Yeah. It's not lap one. Lap one, obviously, your brakes are cold, your tyres. This is lap number 4. Your tyres and brakes will be fine. I'm just looking at the braking. So they're braking around about the same. So it's there. So second. Just want to see if that is a consistent. So if we look at lap 5.
The issue with sunset is that obviously a lot of people can brake there, or you can throw it in and then brake. And
yeah, there is the difference braking line.
Yeah.
And the speed difference is not massively different.
No, I think it's just see, because you haven't got a car around you, you brake that a little bit later, I think. But I honestly think it's just you've got caught out between the two cars. Same as the one before, and it's just caused you both to go round.
It's braking a little bit later in there.
Yeah. But I think it's so similar to one before, except for it's not the first lap.
Okay, so that's that one. It does a second car. All right, I think Elliot's just answered what I was going to look at to basically say is
there a wobble mid corner by the other car?
By the other car that loses. Yeah, I'm just trying to get his lap. It's this lap, isn't it? Yeah. So let's have a look at the car behind. Does Alex get a? Oh yeah, he does, doesn't he?
Yeah. We'll have a look on board.
The bumpy nature.
Yeah, just corner. Catches the car. Yeah, only a small one, but it's enough.
Yeah.
And that's just the nature of the corner because you take so many different lines. It's just the way it is.
Yeah. So, unfortunately,
the last one.
Yeah, I think it is a carbon copy. Unfortunately, Alex, I think you came into the corner, you tried to make a move in sunset, which is always a very risky business anyway. Could have got him on the exit maybe. I think.
Yeah, I mean, you've took half a dive and you've hit a bump and ran into the back of them, not on purpose again, and it's caused you both to spin round. So
I think so. I think at level 2, I think we gave level 2 for
whatever we gave to the Aaron one. Yeah, it's a spitting image. And I always say instants are never the same. Alex was a little bit inside. He had the wobble on the bump a bit more than the other car. Didn't have cold brakes, etc. So, actually almost has less of an excuse. Yeah, I mean he's got lap 4, tyres are warm. It was a not very
probably a very much optimistic move. Right, so I don't want to end on there. I don't want to end. So that's all the incidents we've done.
I know what you're going for now.
Now we're going to look at what is probably the moment for me at the moment of the series. So we are going to watch the exceptional save by Matty Chambers.
Third.
Where is he? Yeah, I'm just going to say, why is it when we're looking down there of his exceptional
obviously
save?
Obviously in Andy's parallel universe, you actually crashed into a car and took him out. But, yeah. As Team Bear Post says, Chambers time.
Chambers time. So let's watch this. I mean, it is amazing to watch. So it must have been, say, this one where it's 201.
It was late on. This is probably it. Yeah. Matty had just taken the lead. Did Tom cut underneath?
No, he came on the outside and the inside, didn't it? Yeah, this is it.
Yeah.
No, this is how to do an exceptional avoiding action. What would be the best?
We'll go on board.
Let's go on board first,
yes.
And then we'll look at it, and you guys can.
And we'll just press play. I'll just press play.
Normal speed.
Have it normal speed first.
I mean, oh shit, there's a car there. Oh, man,
I will not tell you how many times me, Andy, and Lewis rewound that. Just absolute. I mean, I don't even know who it was in the corner, but
I think it was Frederick. I think.
Let's put it this way: if whoever it was in the corner, if you had VR and you were looking left, don't.
I mean, that is just exceptional how he did not hit that car. Obviously, he was fighting with Thomas. He would have been looking on the inside with Thomas as well, thinking, damn, Thomas. And then the car's like...
Yeah, the car started sliding towards the rear of the car, so a bit of Colin McRae steering angle on there, a bit of power.
It was exceptionally well on that. I don't know if there's any... What else we got? Trust me as every VS race start.
This is
me every VS
Not trust me.
Start. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's just phenomenal. So that is probably the save of the day.
That will go in the highlights reel at the end of the season.
That is the save of the day. I mean,
which I suppose we should really start marking where things are, because we're not going to have to go through every race afterwards.
I know. Well, we know that one anyway. So, but all gravy, isn't it? At the end of the day. So yeah, we'll have get that into the reel. But guys, hopefully you've enjoyed it. Going through some of them points, looking at there. I think the big thing is the passing of cars. I mean, there's always going to be ambiguity in the rules, and we will take it as as we see them. But if you've got a car within 1 second and he's a lot quicker than you, just try and ease off before the corner, because what we're trying to do with the rules and the way they're written is so we don't get the passing opportunities through the corners, because we had a couple of them tonight where the pro driver got hit or lost a lot of time because people were excessively, basically not letting him pass, and you're going to lose more time. Because you're doing a defensive line, so you're not on your optimal racing line, and two, you're obviously impacting the guys racing behind. If he's a lap ahead of you, you've probably had an incident, and maybe you are where you are. Yeah. So all I would say is just let them pass, let them carry on their race. Certainly, if you're out of it and you're not going to catch a car in front of it, there's just no point. You're just impacting other people's races around you, and we're all here to have a bit of fun and to try to do the best we can. So I suppose that's my little tip for the day. I don't know about you, Dave. You got anything from it?
No, I completely agree with that. And I just, if anybody's been following the Formula One news this week, I just wanted to add that even though Tom will constantly deny it, our catering budget will be within the budget that we're allowed.
It definitely will. Yes, all these big teams.
Yeah, I mean,
it's only that.
Yeah, I mean, we might get a bit of tea and cake, but it certainly won't be laced with gold.
Oh no! I mean, I think that is an hour of racing with 50 drivers. Other than lap traffic, misunderstanding, it seems like things were pretty well. It did go well. There is a large grid. I mean, this is probably the largest grid that I've seen on a GT3 track. You've got different standards. Yeah. It's just the people at the back just have a bit of understanding for the guys that are coming through at the front, and they'll have the respect to you. I wouldn't expect them to just barge into you. Like it says in the rules, if you're fighting that close with somebody else, it's a responsibility of the pro driver behind. So we have given you a little bit of top cover in the fact that if you're that close racing with another car in front of you, it's the car behind, because he's got to understand that you guys are racing as well. But if you're out on your own, just let him pass. That's probably what I've got to say. But no. Thanks again, Dave, for joining me tonight. Yeah. These seem to be like longer than the actual races, but they are good fun, and it's a good opportunity to interact with the drivers outside of the racing environment. So
I would say if anybody wants to join us on podcast, let Andy know or Tom know, and we can arrange you to be on one of the weeks, because obviously we got Silverstone coming up this weekend.
We've obviously got the spot open for the driver next week. So if you fancy being on the podcast, then just give me a message or say in the driver chat that you want to come in and have a little bit of a chat, and we'll get you in. So so guys, I think that's it for tonight. I think I need a well-deserved cup of coffee after a parents' evening and then dealing with all these incidents. So from myself, goodbye, and from Dave,
goodbye, and see you on Sunday.
Definitely. Look forward to Silverstone, guys. So have fun. Not starting soon, but there we go.